Over the next few weeks, we delve into this story of Christ's arrival once again. A story we are reminded happens when we least expect it. A story we are more familiar with than others. Prophets whose words are well known and no longer shocking. A reminder to stay awake and aware, and so much more. This week, this is a readying moment to catch our breaths as a community, as a people of God, and seek the new in the old stories. New life in stories we know well, but that remind us of times when they were not old and well known, but shockingly fresh. And our theme this season comes from this material from a group of pastors based on what it means to listen, to hark for the coming of God in flesh once again. God who is appearing in human form, taking on blood and bones, muscles and ligaments. God who needs to be a part of our simple living as much as we crave being present to God's grandeur. So as we begin to tell that story, another story for us, many of you, I'm sure, grew up with pageants, the living storytelling for the new generation, the storytelling of this ancient story. And I have helped with many, and participated in many more. But this morning, as we begin to listen for these heralds of our faith, an introduction to hark, heralding our faith, we have a pageant put together to complement our theme. So hear just the beginning of this pageant. Scene. Enter two friends, one overwhelmed by all that is currently being thrown their way, another actively listening for their friend's truth. Hey, Chris, I can see you're having a hard time. Yeah, I'm just not sure what to do. I get so worried and exhausted. Cut to the angels in heaven. It seems like our friend Chris is really struggling. They seem to be having a hard time focusing, and so they've lost sight on this core gospel message. What should we do? How do we remind them to listen for God's message of love? Sounds like a job for Harold the Herald. Got it. I'll deploy Harold the Herald immediately. Hark! What? Who are you? And what are you wearing? Hark! The heralds of our faith. I don't know who this guy is or what he's doing. Let's get out of here. Well, that didn't go so well. What do we do now? Maybe Chris doesn't know what hark means. It's kind of a funny word. It means pay attention, to focus, to listen with your heart. So how do we remind Chris to pay attention? How have we done that before? How have we tried to get people to focus and remember God's love? How about prophets? Like Isaiah or Micah. They were pretty good. Right, let's go with Isaiah. Gloria, send Harold the Herald to announce Isaiah. Hark! Not this guy again. Hark to Isaiah, the herald of our faith. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who lived in a land of deep darkness, on them light has shined. They beat their plows and their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. O house of Jacob, come and let us walk in the light of the Lord. Did you hear something? Yeah, I don't know, something about light? Well, we'll let them walk off for now. We pause here to listen for what we are learning about what heralding really is. Listening for the call of God. Hark is about listening, not just to the voices that surround us or the voices in my own head, or the voices, but to the voices in our hearts, those in our scriptures, and to those who ask us to pause our everyday living so that we can glimpse the bigger picture. This week, those voices are telling us to hope, to wait and hold on a moment longer and another moment longer. That goodness is coming, but it isn't here yet. And this is the message of all those who are hurting don't want to hear. But this is not a message of a delayed flight or an unmet deadline. This is not a waiting that is passive, but a call to an active waiting that opens us to joy and love and the presence of each other. Not the kind of waiting that swallows your vision of community and puts you into a silo of killing time. Wait is the command, to wait and watch. But are we waiting for Christmas or are we waiting for Christ? The differences between waiting for Christmas and waiting for Christ are quite large. Obviously, we all know when Christmas is coming. And we know maybe what it will be like when it does. We have Advent calendars that count down the days and hours with projects or little treats. We find a way to fill our waiting with positivity in this moment. But waiting for Christ to come or to come again requires something more, an expectant watchfulness, because we never know when he is coming, where he will appear, or rather, again. An active waiting, waiting on tiptoe. We are being urged to wait as if Christ is right around the corner, not the perfect 4 weeks from now in the liturgical setting, or our cultural calendars, which invite us to prepare and celebrate every day until Christmas and through Christmas. This is the waiting that asks us to be attuned to the signs of Christ around us, because indeed he has already arrived in the faith of showing up for each other, listening to the heartbreak and the joy of life lived together. It's a hard time to wait and expect, maybe even to have hope. Pain and loss, forgiveness, trust, and so much more are present for all worldwide and within our very family lives. And that is why I think the creators of this small little pageant start with that understanding that life can be painful. It can also be joyous and silly. And in the Christmas pageant, in the story being told once again, we find the joy, the laughter, the excitement. That will certainly be true this season once again. But none of us start from joy. To get to joy, we have to start somewhere else. Life gives us these waves so that we can appreciate the great, the joy when it comes. And in the times of waiting and anticipation, and indeed of sadness, we still have to look for hope for another day. Our modern herald for this morning, a quote from Augustine of Hippo, or St. Augustine for some, wrote of his conversion to Christianity by writing, "Belatedly I loved thee, O beauty so ancient and so new, belatedly I loved thee. For see, thou wast within, and I was without, and I sought thee out there." In his conversion to Christianity, what he had to find was the God who was present in ways he never expected, a divine oneness who is already and not yet, a birth story to be told in these coming weeks, even as Jesus' own adult words are used to tell us of the coming. And in these words about hope, we find a telling reminder that hope in the waiting is not passive but active. Whether we want to engage that hopeful energy or not, it will find an outlet. Hope has two beautiful daughters. Their names are Anger and Courage. Anger at the way things are, and courage to see that they do not remain as they are. Hope isn't a waiting at the bus stop. It's a waiting for the Hummelstown Halloween parade to come by, or the sideline of a race, looking for your friends or family kind of waiting on tiptoes. Your body is engaged in this process, in the emotions of the moment, the seeking, the looking, the fulfillment of promise. This is the kind of hope, waiting, harking, that we are being called to on this first Sunday of Advent. We have to live in the meantime, in the anticipation, in the challenging time between already and not yet. And I won't say it will be easy, but if it was easy, it wouldn't be true. Hard is true. Challenge is life, and by coming into this world as child, human skin and bones and muscles and ligaments, God sought to accompany us in that challenge. To seek the good news is to look for the challenge, to see the courage it will take to get somewhere else, and to work with the anger of having to be in the moment at all. Both of these daughters of hope will escort us forward in the waiting, in the watching, in the light living or seeking darkness. God has come enfleshed by the promise of eternal and ever-present love, a love that says yes to waiting at bedsides and playgrounds, hospital rooms, and maternity wards. God is calling, God is speaking, and God is listening. So hark today upon the heralds of our faith, ridiculous and angelic.